Something that kind of drew me in before when I started in real estate 8 years ago. If you thought about real estate, you would think of your conventional, traditional real estate agencies where everyone is quite a lot older. Either this is what they've just done for 40 years and they just continue to do so. But by joining, we were the youngest team at the time. We've changed the way that people have seen real estate.
Hello and welcome to the Real Good Property Podcast by Neighbor Good, a podcast designed for the next generation of property entrepreneurs who are looking to invest. Today we have Christine Marsh with us from Quay International, a team leader of the City Bowl in the Atlantic Seaboard. They have sold over 50 properties this year alone and almost 250 million rands worth of business. Stay tuned for her experience growing up in hospitality, learning all about real estate over an 8-year career, what to do, what not to do. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Real Good Property Podcast by Neighbor Good. It is awesome to see everyone today. Today we have an exciting guest with us, Christine Marsh, who is with Quay International. Christine is probably, in my opinion, one of the best property brokers in Cape Town. And that's saying something.
No.
There's a lot of property brokers in the industry. And we haven't actually had a property broker on the season just yet. So you're our first, and I want to make sure we had the best.
Thank you.
It's awesome to have you today, my friend. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for that very kind introduction. When you sort of mentioned we were going to do this, I wasn't, I felt honored. And it's great because we've known each other for quite some time.
Yes.
And it's good to be here. So thank you so much.
So strong women in property, man, it's something that I see in my office. We have some incredible women who walk the corridors of the Neighbor Good head office, and it's just super important for us. I think property is a space that continues to amass really incredibly strong women in different spaces, not just in broking. It is so awesome to have you. Your journey in property has been an 8-year one. We have bought properties through you, which is amazing. Our latest Neighbor Good Ravenscraig was a deal that we bought through you through another broker. So indirectly, we've had a relationship. And also just generally, I think like our interactions have been super professional. I think the quality of the information you send, just everything from A to Z. I think it looks easy being a property broker, but it's actually really tough to do it properly. And that whole like 80-20 thing, that 20% of the brokers do 80% of the business is probably like 90% of the, 10% of the brokers do 90% of the business.
I mean, there's so many brokers now that, that is maybe changing a little bit, but you're spot on.
You're definitely in the 10%. You're probably in the 1%.
Thank you.
You're also young as people go on our podcast. I mean, I think property traditionally is run by an older audience or an older person who's like been in the game for so long and they've had 3 lifetimes to pay off assets.
Precisely, exactly.
Yeah.
No, that was something that kind of drew me in before when I started in real estate. Wasn't planned initially, and I think that's what is so exciting to see today. 8 years ago, if you thought about real estate, you would think of your conventional, traditional real estate agencies where everyone is quite a lot older. Either this is what they've just done for 40 years and they just continue to do so, or they always thought it was something they could do on the side. I could have my family and I can do real estate on the side and I can do my Sunday show days and get through everything. But by joining, we were the youngest team at the time. 8 years ago, you almost had to try and be older and come across older because you're dealing with people's biggest assets.
Yeah.
But you're also looking so young, and how can you know about property at being so young? So we've changed the way that people have seen real estate. Which
I want to go back because you didn't start in property. You started in hospitality. Where did you grow up?
So Joburg, born and bred in Johannesburg. Finished school there. I then came to Cape Town to study hospitality. So I studied here for 3 years. and then I went overseas. But during studying, you've got to go work in high-end hotels. So that is what I loved, walking in, seeing these incredible hotels, but obviously it came down to the hospitality aspect and service ultimately. So that's where my passion was. I don't know what it was, but it was about people going into these extravagant buildings, giving that service, and just being part of that industry. And then I got to go to America for a year, which in hospitality, that's like the place you want to be. It's where it was born. It almost feels like, to a degree, without offending anyone, but all our books were American based. Our course was American based. So to go and be in America to do that was really high up on the list. So I actually got sponsored to go there. And the idea was to go to America, learn how they do it, and bring it back to South Africa and try implement that back here. So spent a year there, did that, came back, and then I thought, oh, going on the cruise ships would be amazing. Now I'm doing what I've done on land, just going to implement it on water. Literally a mini village on water with thousands of people on a cruise ship, nowhere to go. And I think that puts you in a position where you can't run away. If someone comes with a problem, that guy is there on that ship for the next 10 days. So you've got to make sure you've got to solve it. You can't just think, oh, they're going to check out tomorrow. You're never going to see them again. So I think that's where you are forced to just be a solution-driven person and do it with kindness, because you're going to see them in the elevator. You're going to see them at dinner. You're going to see them when they want to do an activity. Whatever it is, they're going to come back to you to solve it. So I love that position that I was in. A lot of people shy away from it, but for me, it evolved me. So I did that. And when I finished that experience, I came back to Cape Town and I went and worked at a high-end winery and wanted to do events. Was sort of what I thought, okay, now I'm ready to do these big scale events, which I was privileged to do quite a few. And then this real estate opportunity opened up and I thought, geez, I've never considered that. I'm hospitality. That's what I do. But the more and more I combined the two, I realized it was quite similar. Still going into amazing spaces every single day, but it's a people's game. It's client based, it's service. It's very much service. And there's more to it. You don't just walk in and sell a house and you're done. It's building that network, and it's actually a long process. It takes time. It's people think it's easy to sell a property, pop it online, get the clients through the door, and it's done. But that after sales service is actually probably 80% of keeping the deal together.
Yes.
It's not just an offer signed and it's done.
And then
Yeah.
How did it all come to be? Where did the property introduction come from? Tell us about that.
So the offer, if I can say, was actually for me to come in and help open up this particular office.
Okay.
So I was joining on the operations side, and they were like, no worries, Christine, it's just like hospitality. You got to keep the people happy. We're going to grow the business. Just managing people, not managing, but helping to grow the business, develop skills. That was my role. It was more about choosing from the floors to the lighting to hiring. That is what I joined real estate for in that kind of moment. But very quickly, when I was hiring people and seeing what people do and how they sell property and their day to day, going into properties, meeting people, discussing interest rates, discussing everything that comes with it, I thought, geez, this is very rewarding. So within a year, I very quickly moved over into the sales brokering role, and that's where I've been since.
Is like a massive battle. I watch all the reality programs, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I'm a real estate nut.
Okay.
The $1 million listing, the selling sunset, if you really want more drama at the end of the day.
Exactly.
But what you see in on programs and in reality is how much people fight for good brokers. And it is quite a cutthroat industry, man. I think like if I have a lot of mates who are in the space, both in South Africa and abroad, and to find and keep good brokers is such a difficult thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's not normal for companies to fight for people, like yourself, because you are quality. In the end, you are producing the goods at the end of the day, which is why people, and it makes headlines when brokers move from, say, Compass to Serhant or whatever the company might be. So how cutthroat is it for keeping talent in a Cape Town context or in a South African context across the brokerages? How difficult is it to find and retain talent?
Yeah, it's not easy. I think that's something that I initially struggled with because it's so cutthroat. I try and do everything with kindness without
Yeah,
sounding
you strike me
cliche,
as that.
but a lot of good goes a long way. And you always want to try be the best and do the best and the right thing for the right person, because what I do for this client might not be the right thing for the next client. But there is just a lot of competition out there, and a lot of people who will do it to kind of get the job done, but not thinking more than that. So yeah, tackling the cutthroat industry part,
Okay.
I did have to kind of get a lot more savvy, and you
Street
can
smart.
still do as good and do the right thing by everyone, but just be street smart, offload information when it's the right time, and maybe sometimes say less, and rather than saying too much. But keeping the good staff, I think if you've got a great brand, that is a certain foot through the door. But then just focusing on everyone's strengths. Everyone has the strength, and not everyone's going to be good from an admin perspective right through to a sales perspective. So some people love being in the office and driving up the background and, getting everything to the point where it becomes a lead. And other people just love being in the field and focusing on the face-to-face interaction and bringing in the mandates and whatnot. So we spend a lot of time actually finding out, what is it that you enjoy? What part, does that make you nervous when you're doing these things, or do you get a bit of a kick?
Yeah.
Because brokering is a bit of it's something you love to do, and it's you get closing a deal, you just get this excitement every single time. But not everyone loves that. It makes people nervous as well. It's obviously also commission based, so that doesn't suit everybody. So again, you got to work to people's strengths. What's going to keep people motivated? What's going to demotivate people? We talk a lot about being on an emotional roller coaster, because it is like that. You've got good days and bad days, like anything, but in particularly
through the deal process, or just generally, like
I would say both, because you work and what's the word I'm looking for? You constantly working on something for it to be a bigger picture. So listing a property could have taken a year of follow-ups and courtesy calls and keeping in touch with that client to finally get the mandate to go to market. And sometimes when that time comes that they go to market, maybe that person isn't actually the right person at the end of the day. So they lose out, or they are. But it's that patience. It's having the long game and not just seeing it as a quick, I'm going to get into real estate, sell a property, and I'm going to be out. It's really not like that, which Selling Sunset makes it seem like. I feel like sometimes it's a bit more about the fashion and the drama.
Yes.
It's very much like Suits.
Yeah.
People watch Suits and they think they can be the next Harvey Specter and go be a lawyer and live the dream. It's not like that. But one thing that is good about these TV shows is I think it gets people thinking about what industries they might want to be in.
Yes.
Because if I go back to 8 years ago, as I said, we were the youngest team around. You didn't have people leaving school saying, I want to go into real estate. It wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
People would finish school and want to go study all these other things.
Yeah. I started my career as a property broker when I was maybe 17 or 18. And it wasn't cool back then. And I was in Durban, and for whatever reason, I think my dad wanted me to figure out property. He thought it would be a good lesson. And, sales is a skill set that you can use anywhere.
Exactly.
And I must have, without doubt, I was definitely the youngest person, but the average age in that office was definitely north of 55, my gut in Durban.
Yeah.
And nothing against older brokers, because there are some amazing older brokers with so much wisdom.
Yeah.
It feels like a different industry now. Definitely in Cape Town.
It's evolved dramatically. And now we're only competing against the younger crowd, it seems. There's still the people with the experience, definitely. It's a mix, but there's a lot more younger people getting in there. And I think it's because of people being exposed to shows like this. Yes, it's not like that at all, but it's become a bit more of a lifestyle that people want to be a part of.
Is it rewarding?
It is. Yeah, it absolutely is.
This is you for life, eh?
This is me, but I think again, it's about doing it for the right reasons. And I love helping people. I love finding the right home for the right person and following that journey, because I've done it for quite some time now. I'm in that cycle now where people came to me, they were looking for a rental in Frederick or an apartment. They now got married, they've had a kid, they've outgrown the space.
Okay.
Wonderful. Now they want their family home. Moving into Oranje Tegovale, they might want to be in Camps Bay now. Their businesses are growing. They're looking at commercial leases. It's a whole journey, It started off with just maybe a rental, but now these people have evolved in 8 years as well. And I'm on that journey with them.
I love that, man.
Which is so cool.
That's so cool. You almost become part of the journey with them.
I'm part of their journey. I know they're little ones who are now starting school or whatever, and it seems crazy,
It's intrinsically like a very emotive thing, because looking for a home, depending on what you're looking for in an asset, is such an emotional thing.
Yeah.
I think when Kim and I look for properties to live in, it's so different to just looking at an asset that's an investment.
Absolutely.
Because you're thinking about how you're going to live in this space.
Yeah.
And it's not all about the rands in the sense, although that's obviously important. There's so much more to the residential side of the business, which is also why I love it. I think I've been in both commercial retail and now residential and now hospitality, and think that like residential hospitality side of things, specifically residential, like building people's homes.
Yeah.
Even if whether it's a 12-month home or whether it's a permanent home or whether it's a home for a few months in the case of Neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's still something that's really emotive, and you're like constructing an experience essentially for people to, live in this home that is going to be a collection of memories essentially.
Exactly. And you hope that they come back.
Exactly. How many brokers do you have in your office?
So our company complement now, we're about 150.
Goodness me, that's a lot.
We've got various offices. We've reached over 100 people that are in terms of just sales full time out in the field and on the ground.
And your role in that, I mean, you're a team leader, but you're also like a very active broker. I have never seen more boards in Cape Town with someone's name on it.
Yeah.
It is like, I think that Neighborhood has a lot of signs in the city, and then I see the Quay brand and I just see your name on it, and like everyone must phone you all day, every day.
The phone doesn't stop. I actually don't know where it is right now.
I know. I mean, literally before you got to the office, you were sitting in your car sending an email.
Yeah.
Like, does it ever stop?
Look, you got to put certain boundaries in place for yourself, I think, just to still remain human and to do the things you love to do.
Okay.
But it definitely helps to do something you love, because it's not a hack for me,
Okay.
I was just finished up a call and the person was asking for an offer to purchase. And that's great. That's the moment that you're looking for. So you'll put everything aside.
No wonder why you made me wait for 10 minutes.
Yeah, sorry. Just like,
yeah, which
okay,
is more important.
Go first, sorry. No, but it is timeous, and it is about being professional. And I think if this person has a great experience, it's only going to keep kind of developing into more. But no, we do focus a lot on our outdoor marketing, is what we call it.
Okay.
So that people can just see what we're up to. And because we have been a young brand, although we are now quite far in it, it does have a knock-on effect, and it just organically grows from there. So that's testament to all the teams who are pushing and getting those boards out and getting the names.
Put up a lot of signs.
Yeah.
How important is outdoor relative to digital?
I think it goes hand in hand. Okay. I think digital is the name of the game.
Okay.
Absolutely. But I think to get the knock-on sales that come with it, by other owners in the area seeing your boards up, it definitely gets them to think of you maybe first when they're ready. But not only that, people like who don't necessarily know the area very well will drive around before they make a decision. So if they're driving around, we often get calls off the boards. I've seen this. What is it going for? I'm like, wait, what street are you in?
Like 2 out of 10 calls?
Yeah. That just want to know what it is?
No, off the board. Like relative to digital, maybe 20%?
Maybe even up 25.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a good fair share to have it.
Fascinating.
It's worth it. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm,
So Prop 24
yeah.
seems to be the be all and end all in South Africa. It's obviously a South African platform. How
Yeah.
important is Prop 24? It used to be the Sunday Tribune, man. Saturday night,
Yeah.
I would be, I would take my old Loppy car
Yeah.
and I would go at 8 o'clock when the newspapers were out to get the Sunday Tribune so I could get the property.
And you
This is
could
giving away my
see.
age, man. Like and I would like read that thing back to front
Yeah.
by like Sunday morning before anyone did. And I'd like made circles in the paper. Now it's basically, I do the same thing, but only on Property
But
24
online.
at night
I
in
know.
bed.
Yeah. I think Property 24 is big and it is one of the well-known sites. I think it helps to build the network, but ultimately we all have our networks that we work in. So yes, there's a lot of drive that goes through various sites. But very often you might inquire on one property, but that's not the property you end up buying at the end of the day. So we use it as a system to potentially build connections and get a connection. But once you're in our sphere, a lot changes. You might think you're looking for a 3-bedroom house under 5 million. But as I start to learn what it is that you're looking for, or the area,
something changes,
or low maintenance, or you're happy with, whatever it is, very seldom do you actually buy the place that you first inquired on. Yeah. So the personal networks and what we do as a company definitely weighs in a lot more. Yeah.
Say it's similar to our business in a way. You've got such big, powerful tech platforms like Booking.com and Airbnb that you actually just can't disregard. They are too powerful.
Yeah.
And we're a brand, like you guys are a brand. And, in an ideal world, 100% of the lead funnel would come through direct bookings.
Of course.
People would, phone you off your boards and like that would be that. But
yeah,
you realize how important these platforms are to success in the end, and they're a cost of doing business. And
definitely.
But as you quite rightly say, once they're in your ecosystem, then you can construct a far more personal experience.
Exactly.
And I think that's relevant to our business in hospitality, your business in real estate, and I'm sure in many other industries as well. Commission. What should we be paying? What's fair? What's not fair?
That is so
in the
difficult.
UK and the US,
yeah,
there's a buyer and there's a selling broker, right?
Yeah.
That's not the same in South Africa.
Not necessarily, although it is something that's growing. So we spend time separating ourselves in terms of assisting one or the other. But yeah, I mean, we try and work according to the industry standard. It is one of those things that everyone follows suit. So if everyone's doing one thing,
all the sellers want to pay less,
of course.
And all
but
the
I
brokers
think
want.
Yes and no. We had a situation the other day where we always say we fair and we'll absolutely come to the party to make a deal work. We're never going to get in the way for not making it work. And it got to a point where we said, okay, this is what we can offer from our side. We'll almost come down proportionately, or we'll do what we need to do from our side. And actually, at the end of the day, the couple turned around and said, you know what, you guys have actually earned your fees. We can see what you've done. So we offered and they came back higher. And it's not something that happens every day. But I think if people can feel the worth and feel like they got the service and ultimately get the best price for their property, they're not going to have a problem paying for that service.
I think it's, for me, I've seen real value in brokers and there's brokers that create amazing value and there's others that don't. And you work with the ones that do.
Yeah.
Quality of information, like how much they can guide a deal through a process. And you are worth every weighted cents. And I think it's a bit old school to always look to cut the broker's comm first.
Yeah.
Because it's actually unfair in a way. I think everyone does, has their role. I've just seen so much value in brokers who can make or break a deal, really. And also the cost of doing that means you probably won't work with me again. Let's say, I try to cut your comm from 6% to 2% and you just probably wouldn't work with me again as well. And if it was someone who's also in the relationship space.
I think it goes hand in hand. because it's kind of saying, well, what do you think about what we do as our
Value.
profession
Got
and our
you.
value?
Yeah.
So there is that element. But on the other side of the coin is, if you're going to cut me down from the get-go, what do you think I'm going to do when it comes to getting a buyer on the platform
Yes.
to get your place sold?
Got you.
You know, I'm there to negotiate and
How
to
much time
extract as much value that I can out of
for
the
you?
sale. And remember, the more I get for you, the more I get as well. So it
It's
goes hand
incentivized.
in hand. And what I like to say to our clients is, you do get those who want to just go straight in for the fee for service topic before we even got anywhere. And I like to say it, nothing's fixed. You know, you only need to make a decision once the sale agreement's on your
Got
table.
you.
Then we can talk about every little detail that comes with it.
Awesome.
So that's sort of how we manage that.
Thank you for
Yeah.
joining us. We appreciate you tremendously and
Yeah,
really
thank
excited
you.
about the next chapter of your journey, and look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, thanks so much
Thanks
for
for
having
joining
me.
us.
It's been great to see you.